Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug. Streaming live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Hello everyone, welcome to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Streaming live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Hello everyone, welcome to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Streaming live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Hello everyone, welcome to. Sorry about that. So again, welcome to Options with Doug. Streaming live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Bookmap YouTube channel and Bookmap Discord. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also on Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. And also note that I do post some helpful content there as well. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is at Doug Plass. Here are the key tenets to my approach to trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, and certainly in the large cap tech stocks like the Mag 7 stocks that I follow, as well as the equity index futures like the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ 100. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index, SPY is the ETF version of that index, and ES is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index, and NQ is a derivative of NDX. And just like the S&P 500, when traders buy and sell puts and calls in the NASDAQ, NDX, and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in SpotGamma Hero to confirm my thesis, and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset, and setups then and that asset can be taken with futures, shares of stock, or options, depending on the asset that we're talking about. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Hello, Stephen. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hello, everyone else. Welcome. Glad you're here as well. Here's my agenda for today, Friday, May 24th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for today. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. And then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I take a look at the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's get started with economic data for today. And let's go to the S&P 500 futures in Bookmap. So first of all, durable goods orders came out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Came in greater than expected. And it looks like it was in line with their revised previous number. So anyway, bullish reaction to the 8:30 a.m. durable goods orders. And then at 10 a.m., Michigan consumer sentiment came out. Looks like the market was already moving higher before that. That was also greater than expected, greater than the previous number, and a bullish reaction to Michigan consumer sentiment as well. All right, so that wraps up the data for the week. Note that Monday is a market holiday in the U.S. It is the Memorial Day holiday. The markets will be closed, and there will be no Bookmap streams on Monday. So I'll be back on Wednesday. All right, let's move on to positional analysis. Again, this is the SP 500 futures in Bookmap. Before I take a closer look at this chart, I do want to take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to the underlying index, the SPX. Go through this quickly. We've all seen this chart before. This is a one-day chart of SPX and Thinkorswim. 5-month rally began October 30th last year. Correction began April 1st this year. And then the rally resumed on the Monday after the April expiration. That was Monday, April 22nd. All right, let's pick that up on a 1-hour chart. So this is SPX 1-hour chart. Rally resumed on the Monday after options expiration. That's shown by the vertical red line. That may be difficult to see. And note yesterday, there was a pretty strong reaction to data that came out, and also rising Treasury yields. We'll take a closer look at that in just a moment. All right, let's take a look at the levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market. This is based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. Those lines remain in place for the entire week. Then the dashed blue lines is showing the lower and upper daily expected move, also based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from yesterday. Note SPX is trading above the upper daily expected move, and just right in the middle of the range for the week. So there, before that move lower yesterday, there's quite a bit of consolidation, and now SPX is trading up into that level again, the lower end of that range, for really the more than the last week, from really last Thursday. All right, let's take a look at the SpotGamma levels on this chart. These are the dark red lines. These are proprietary SpotGamma levels that are provided to SpotGamma subscribers, available on a variety of trading platforms. These levels are based on gamma-weighted open interest. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, here's the put wall at 5,200. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. The next level up is the volatility trigger at 5,290. That level did move 5 points lower from yesterday, so kind of a minor move lower. Then a SpotGamma's proprietary volatility flip low. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. Above that level, like SPX is trading now, just barely, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And above that, just above that, is the 5,300 level. That is the absolute gamma strike. That's the strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. And then finally, the call wall is at 5,400. That's a strike with the largest net positive gamma, that can be expected to act as resistance. And as far as shifts and levels go for the SPX, again, only the volatility trigger shifted lower by 5 points, so not significant there. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1-minute chart to get a closer look at the levels in play for today. So here's that big drop yesterday. It took a while for this move to get started. And what a lot of news sources were attributing to the move lower is the sharp rise in Treasury yields yesterday. This is the 10-year yield. Note after the 9:45 a.m. data release, that is the S&P PMI data, which is usually not much of a market mover, but I think the market often reacts to very sharp moves in the bond market. So 10-year note, sharp increase in yields just after the 9:45 a.m. Data release, and that spooked the market. Or again, news sources attributing the move lower to that sharp increase in yields. Hello, Caesar. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hello, Floyd's Garage. Welcome. Glad you're here as well. All right, so let's focus on today now. Today, SPX. This is the volatility trigger at 52.90. Initially finding resistance at that level and then support. And now SPX trading above the volatility trigger and above the upper daily expected move, also above the 5,300 level, which did act as support after a breakout above that level. And that is around, SpotGamma has been talking about that as a kind of a flip level, risk on, risk off. All right, so that is the SPX, the levels in play for today, primarily 52.90 volatility trigger, 5,300 absolute gamma strike. Also, again, SPX trading above the upper daily expected move. All right, let's take a look at Bookmap now. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Well, it's a little bit too much. All right, so let's take a look at levels on this chart. So I have my own cloud notes in Bookmap, so I can show SPY levels and SPX levels. Here's that 52.90 volatility trigger acting as resistance, then support. Now the primary level in play, so here's the 5,300 level. Whoops, wrong tool. 5,300 level, absolute gamma strike. Price broke out above, then acting as support. And just above that is the SPY 530 absolute gamma strike call wall acting as resistance. So the SPY call wall doing its job as expected as a call wall. Let me tone down this heat map a little bit so we can see these levels a little bit more clearly. Bump up the volume dots just a little bit. All right, so again, key levels in play, SPX 52.90, 5,300, and SPY 530. Also note the SPY 527 level acting as support. So that's just a round number level, not a SpotGamma level, noted in yellow there. All right, so again, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show all these levels in one column. And note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX, and today it is right around 17. And that's what I'm using. So I'm showing the SPX 5,300 level at ES 5317. And note I do post the index relationships that I use every day in Discord. I post them preliminary numbers before the market opens, and then the final index relationships about 30 minutes after the open. All right, so key levels again, 527 on the downside, 530 on the upside. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. This is the NQ futures and Bookmap. Oh, and just before I leave the SP 500, there were a couple of significant shifts lower in levels for SPY. The SPY put wall and call wall all move lower. Both move lower, so that is bearish. And again, we saw the SPY call wall at 530 acting as resistance. All right, moving on to NASDAQ now. This is the NQ futures and Bookmap. And let's take a quick look at the underlying index charts. I'm going to go to QQQ. Note the volatility trigger 454. That level did move higher from yesterday. So QQQ trading well above its volatility trigger. All right, let's zoom in on this chart now. So at the open, just around this 455 large gamma 4 level, large gamma 2 level, acting as support. And then this 459, just a round number level, not a spot gamma level, acting as resistance. And that's not unusual for QQQ, the round number levels, and SPY as well, round number levels to act as support and resistance. That's where a lot of traders apparently place the orders. All right, let's take a look at NDX. And then we'll get back to the NQ futures. NDX, most of the spot gamma levels down below. The put wall at 660 is above the call wall at 600. So the NDX, the options market, is pretty thin, but there are often reactions at that level. So the put wall around that level acting as support at the open. All right, let's go back to Bookmap now. So in Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes again, so I can show NDX levels, QQQ levels, as well as key NQ levels. So there's the upper daily expected move for NQ, and at the open that was acting as support. Also there's the 18,660 put wall. There's the 459 level acting as resistance, and note just above the QQQ call wall at 460. All right, shifts in levels for NASDAQ. The put wall shifted higher for NDX, and then the volatility trigger shifted higher for QQQ. So minor shifts higher in levels for the NASDAQ. We'll take a look at setups in just a few minutes. All right, let's wrap up our positional analysis by taking a look at gamma notional to see how market makers were positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. So this is gamma notional, market makers position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. Note, with the exception of NDX, all these numbers are negative, slightly negative. So this indicates that in this position for an index, traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, hence the negative gamma, and they have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. All right, so we know now that the QQQ and SPX trading above the volatility, their volatility triggers, and SPY trading right around its volatility trigger. All right, so if this rally continues, gamma notional, which did become more negative from yesterday, will likely shift to more positive on Monday or a Tuesday. All right, so let's that is the positional analysis. Based on this, just based on the shifts in levels for the put wall and call wall for SPY, my thesis for the day, a directional bias, was slightly bearish and more neutral to slightly bullish for the NASDAQ. Also looking for higher volatility, with hence the negative gamma, looking for higher volatility, more wider trading range today. All right, let's take a look at setups now. All right, before I do this, I want to talk about yesterday for just a moment. So yesterday was a very unusual day, and with really only NVIDIA being strongly bullish. So let's take a look. Let's review yesterday, and this will apply directly to how you view the different hero signals. All right, so I'm going to start with, this is the heat map from Thinkorswim at the end of the day. All right, let me check for questions. Robert asked, ES bearish or bullish for the rest of the day? We'll take a look. When I get to the live market later on in the presentation, we'll take a look at that. And Mind Bliss asked, what are your stops and iceberg setting are? Yeah, when I get to the ES, I'll take a look at that. Let me, when we get to the ES setup in just a minute. All right, so I'm reviewing yesterday now. So this is the heat map for the S&P 500 from yesterday. And this will apply directly to how to view the hero signal. And did provide, I thought this provided some unique insight. So this is the S&P 500. Note, almost everything was red, moving lower, except for NVIDIA, of course. NVIDIA very strong, and then just a handful of stocks were green as well, but NVIDIA definitely a strong day yesterday. All right, so let's take a look now at the hero signals from yesterday. So I'm going to start with NVIDIA. This is from yesterday again. This is the hero signal. Note the strong move up. Traders buying calls, selling puts. And note, just after 1:30, options traders take the foot off the gas and price moves lower. All right, so that is the hero signal for NVIDIA. Now let's take a look at the hero signal for S&P equities. Does this look familiar? Strong hero signal, reverses lower just after 1:30. All right, so note, there's a pretty big divergence in the hero signal moving higher, and earlier in the day, pretty much chop. And this is price for SPX, shown with a white line. Price starts to move lower before this hero signal moves lower. All right, so very strong similarity between the NVIDIA hero signal, the SP equity signal, which is combined hero signal for all 500 stocks in the SP 500. And then finally, let's take a look at the hero signal yesterday for the Magnificent Seven. This is a hero signal that combines options trades and market maker hedging activity for all the 7 stocks known as the Magnificent Seven, large cap tech stocks. Very similar price action. This is price for QQQ, shown with a white line. Hero signal for the Mag 7 stocks, also reverses lower just after 1:30, almost identical to the NVIDIA signal. So not in sync with price as well. All right, so finally, let's wrap up our review of yesterday with the other S&P 500 signal. Oh, give me just a moment to open that. All right, so this is the S&P 500 signal. And this is for options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. And this signal is typically more choppy than the SP equities signal. But in this case, yesterday, it was the signal that you wanted to take a look at. So kind of up and down movement, chop. Note the 3 flow alerts in sequence here. This is indicative of chop. And then the SP 500 signal starts to move lower, really more in sync with price, then starts to move sharply lower. And note the flow alerts that come in just after the break of the, showing us hedge wall here, it's the volatility trigger, and looking for more volatility with a break below that level. And that is what happened yesterday. So the takeaway here is which signal to look at for the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ. Which hero signal do you want to take a look at? Do you want to take a look at the S&P 500 signal or the S&P equity signal? And for the NASDAQ, do you want to look at the NASDAQ signal or the Mag 7 signal? So I think a way, this was pretty enlightening for me, and a good way to look at this is to, first of all, take a look at what's moving the price today. So let's go to Thinkorswim, go look at the heat map today. So a much more broad-based rally today, a lot of green as the index as a whole is moving higher. All right, so now let's take a look at today. We'll go to the hero signals for today. So again, what this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. This is the traditional signal that has been around for some time. So this is the hero signal, hedging impact real-time options. This is provided to SpotGamma subscribers. There are 2 lines in this chart. The white line is the price for SPX, and the purple line is the hero signal. A rising hero signal indicates traders are buying calls and or selling puts. And a falling hero signal indicates traders are buying puts and or selling calls. All right, let's zoom in on this chart. And let's just take a look at the alternative that we have. And this is the SP equity signal. Let's take a quick comparison of the NVIDIA signal. Let's first of all note the notional value here. Delta notional value, 3.5 billion. All right, let's take a look at the NVIDIA signal now. So this is a pretty low number for NVIDIA at around 620 million. So in my mind, the way I look at this validates this S&P equities not being driven just by one stock, but by being driven by a number of stocks in the S&P 500. This makes this, in my mind, a valid signal. So this is compared to the original S&P 500 signal that we just looked at. The SP equities is now showing an aggregate signal, options trades, market maker hedging activity for all the S&P 500 underlyings. All right, so that's our validity check or sanity check for the hero signal for the S&P 500. So let's zoom in. We'll look at this signal. Very much in sync with price. Starting about 9:40, traders have been taking positive delta options positions, took the foot off the gas right around 11, and then are resuming to take positive delta options positions. So let's go take a look at Bookmap now. All right, so we have verified that that S&P equity signal is, again, not driven by one stock, but driven by a number of components in the S&P 500, and looks like a valid signal. So we'll take a look at, actually, let's take a look at well, we can start about 10 a.m. Really two good long entries. First of all at 10 a.m., then at 10:45. So 10 a.m., it looks like traders started buying S&P 500 before the Michigan Consumer Senate 10 a.m. data, and price continued to move higher. Let's take a look at Bookmap. Volume dots show market buy minus sell. Budget dots indicate more buyers than sellers. More sellers than buyers. Green volume dots, more buyers than sellers, sorry. So price moves up, consolidates, 10:45 a.m. Next good long entry point. Again, aggressive sellers on the way down, aggressive buyers. You can see all the green volume dots coming in. Price moves up pretty quickly to the 530 call wall. Taking a look at the subchart in Bookmap, this magenta to dark blue line is showing CVD, cumulative volume delta. Also note, as price starts to move higher, buy stop orders help to fuel that move higher. That's shown also by the on-chart indicator. All right, let's go back. Take a look at Hero again. So the Hero signal continued to rise. Let's just check the S&P 500 signal. And it's highlighting the pullback entries a little bit more clearly. Here's the 10 a.m. or just before 10 a.m. move higher, shift higher in the Hero signal. And again, this is highlighting the 10:45 move higher pullback entries. And notice price moves up to that 530 level. Then this Hero signal starts to move down. Now multiple alerts indicating chop. All right, so both signals good for today. And for NASDAQ, let's just take a look at Mag 7. Very strong correlation between options trades, market maker hedging activity in the Mag 7 stocks, and price action in the NASDAQ. So let's go take a look at NQ now. All right, NQ starts to move higher just before 10 a.m. as well, or right around 10 a.m. Let me zoom in on this. Aggressive buyers start to come in right at 10 a.m. Move off VWAP, shown by the light blue line. Cumulative volume delta rising, buy stop orders fueling the move higher as traders were taking positive delta positions in the Mag 7 stocks. All right, let's take a look at some stocks now. I'm going to start with AMD. Let me get to Mind Bliss. Let me get to your question again about the stops and iceberg settings. Do you want to see on chart or sub chart? Let's go to sub chart. All right, so I have it real simple on the sub chart. I'm just using sum mode. Both for stops and icebergs. I use sum mode. I've customized the color. I like to see sum mode because it gives me the trend of stops and icebergs. We can take a look at on chart. Oops. All right, here I don't know why I don't know why that's jumping. As soon as I move away from that arrow, it moves. All right, so that is sorry about that. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm not doing that. All right, so that's the icebergs. You can go into replay and just freeze it. I don't know why it's jumping like that. Sorry. All right, so I hope that helped. And I have posted these numbers in Discord some time ago. I have not changed the settings for icebergs and stops for quite some time. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to AMD now. Bullish day in AMD, kind of the opposite of yesterday. AMD was really a head fake yesterday. It looked like, AMD looked like this first thing in the morning and then reverse lower with the rest of the market. My thinking yesterday was that AMD might move higher in sympathy with NVIDIA, but that was not the case. But today it is moving higher. Let's see what options traders have been doing. So let's go. Caesar says, I saw other people having the same issue with expanding the menus. Seems to be a bug in this version. Yeah, I hope somebody's reported that. All right, so let's take a look at AMD. Let me go back to Mag 7, and I'm going to separate out puts and calls for stocks. All right, so what this chart is showing is traders selling puts. That's shown by the rising blue line. So I've separated out put and call transactions now. Traders are selling puts. That's shown by the rising blue line. Sorry. Oh, that's a Mag 7. Forgot to jump back to AMD. All right, so it's calls driving. Traders buying calls. Traders buying calls, market makers sell the calls. They have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. Very strong correlation with calls today in AMD. Call flow alert comes in, may be difficult to see. Let me zoom in on this. $160 is the hedge wall, key gamma strike. Flow alert comes in as traders were aggressively buying calls. AMD moves higher. Note that 170 is the call wall up above. All right, so traders buying calls. Traders buying calls. That checks one box for a checklist for a long entry. Next, price moves above VWAP, checks another box. Cumulative volume delta rising, checks another box. High liquidity targets shown on the heat map here in Bookmap. These are limit sell orders, tend to act as magnets for price. So that checks all the boxes on my very simple checklist for long entry. All right, let's go back to Hero. Traders continue to buy calls. AMD trading right around 167 now. May be difficult to push up to the call wall. All right, let's take a look at coin. Coin, similar, driven by calls, shown by the rising orange line. Again, traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. All right, note that 225.50 is the call wall key gamma strike, and that did act as support for a nice long entry. Also note the flow alert that came in just after 9:40 this morning. All right, let's go. Before I do take a look at Bookmap, I posted this setup in Discord earlier today, and I'm just going to show this view instead of having to zoom zoom in on the chart. All right, I've got a couple of additional items on this chart that I want to highlight. First of all, this is the correlation tracker. I'll show this in just a minute, and this is correlated to the Bitcoin futures. So Coinbase is very highly correlated to Bitcoin. In this case, I'm using Bitcoin futures. If you're connected to one or more of the Bitcoin exchanges, or the crypto exchanges, you can use that as well. All right, let me check for questions. Blisk. All right, Blisk. If you're very interested in stops and icebergs, I suggest watching either Bruce or Scott Pulcini. They focus on stops and icebergs a lot more. My focus is really on options trades. And I'm showing a couple of additional add-ons here that provide great edge, very high value for Coinbase and other stocks as well. So I would say let's focus on this right now on Coinbase. So the first thing I'm pointing out is this correlation tracker showing the correlation between Bitcoin and Coinbase. And I'm showing this long entry point, long setup here. So first of all, this is the 225.50 call wall key gamma strike. So a key level reversal. Bitcoin is rising as Coinbase tests that level. Note also in the subchart here, this is the market pulse price change indicator. Note how this, note this is a new version of the market pulse indicator, just updated today. I have adjusted the color since I took this screenshot. This is showing an extreme reading on the downside, often a good entry point for a long. Note how this price change indicator is moving up as price is testing that 222.50 level. So Bitcoin moving up, price change indicator moving up, and price moves higher, and traders start buying calls, helping to fuel that move higher, I'm sorry. So great setup, very strong indicators here in Bookmap. So let's take a look at live. So we see the traders buying calls. They start aggressively buying calls right around 10:20 in Coinbase. Price levels off as call buyers take their foot off the gas. Then they start buying calls again right around 12:30, 12:40. Price starts moving higher again. All right, let's go to Bookmap now. Go to Coinbase. All right, so note I did change the colors in this price change indicator. Make it a little bit more visible. Let's take a look at that. So let's go to Market Pulse. Here's coin. And here are my settings. I'm using all the default settings, except I did change the color here. So to change the color, all you have to do is open up the color settings and change the colors. So I made it more bright. I changed it to a brighter red and a brighter green, and no problem with this. The settings for this add-on, it's not closing up. All right, so that is the Market Pulse price change indicator, providing a lot of additional value for that long setup. And let's take a look at the correlation tracker. Let me see if I can find that. So I've set up this correlation with Bitcoin futures. Again, you could use Spot Bitcoin if you're connected to one or more of the crypto exchanges. And I'm just using Bitcoin futures. All right, so two add-ons here for Coinbase that add significant value, as well as the hero signal. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at Meta. Note the absorption just right below the 480 level, high liquidity level. So high liquidity at 475, 480, primary targets. Let's take a look and see what options traders are doing in Meta. We'll zoom in just a little bit. 470, 465 is the hedge wall, 470 key gamma strike. Zoom in just a little bit more. So the hero signals were pretty flat until 10 a.m. There was one flow alert right after 10 a.m., right after the data release. Traders start aggressively buying calls. Meta moves higher. Let's go back. All right, so note all the green volume dots really from the open. CVD rising, starts rising pretty sharply 10 a.m. So let's check the boxes on our long setup checklist. First of all, hero rising, traders aggressively buying calls. Check. Price breaks above VWAP, continues to stay above VWAP. Check. Aggressive buyers, green volume dots. Check. Cumulative volume delta rising higher. Check. Price targets above. Checks all the boxes for a long setup. All right, just out of curiosity, let's take a look at NVIDIA. Now finally resolving higher after quite a bit of a chop in the morning, breaking above the call wall, the 1050 call wall, key gamma strike that acted as resistance earlier today. Let me tone down the volume dots just a little bit. So it took a little while longer for NVIDIA to break out. But NVIDIA breaks above VWAP, breaks out of this wedge pattern about, what looks like 1039, something like that. Comes back to retest, kind of that breakout level, VWAP, then really starts to move higher. Another test of the 1050 call wall, pull back to 1045 level now. NVIDIA moving higher. Let's see what options traders have been doing in NVIDIA. Go to NVIDIA. So a pretty choppy day here in the hero signal. And note times where the put and call signal moving in the same direction. Price moves higher, starting right around just before 10:15. Traders buying calls, selling puts. Blue line, orange line moving in the same direction. Price moves higher. Those lines flatten out. Price consolidates. Resistance at the call wall. And starting about noon, also note the cluster of flow alerts there. Then this is a pattern with flow alerts, 2 or more flow alerts in a pretty close proximity indicating chop, then 1 further away indicating a breakout above that level. And that was right before the breakout above the last test of the call wall, as the blue line and orange line started moving higher in the same direction again. Traders selling puts and buying calls. And a flow alert breakout pattern there. All right, let's take a look at Tesla. Very bullish day in Tesla. Break above VWAP right around 10 a.m. Cumulative volume delta shown by the dark blue line rising. Price stays above VWAP. And let's take a look and see what options traders are doing in Tesla. Zoom in on this a bit. So in Tesla, they are buying calls and selling puts. Positive notion of value for both lines. Call buyers definitely driving price in Tesla today. Flow alert comes in before 9:40. Price moves higher. Looks like it does a retest of the 175 hedge wall key gamma strike right at 10 a.m. as price broke above VWAP. And Tesla moves higher. Checks all the boxes for a long entry. Rising hero signal. Rising cumulative volume delta. Price breaks above VWAP. And aggressive buyers moving Tesla higher. There's the break above VWAP. All right, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? I've got a few minutes left. All right, Mind Bliss, I hope I answered your question, especially with the analysis of Coinbase, showing how I use the correlation tracker and detailed look at how I'm using that market pulse, price change indicator, and on all these examples how I'm using Hero. Those are the indicators that play a big part in what I look at, much more than stops and icebergs. I'm much more focused primarily on stocks. All right, so Floyd's Garage wants to take a look at 10, and then Slodorazzi wants to take a look at NQ. All right, so let's take a look at 10 first, then we'll get to NQ. So I don't have 10 in Bookmap. We can take a look here in Hero. And sorry, 10 is not available in Hero. And I don't have it in Bookmap, so sorry about that. All right, let's go to NQ. So let's just take a look at this NASDAQ signal. Separate out puts and calls provides more clarity. So it looks like call buyers, and this is the signal that shows NDX and QQQ. So call buyers really driving price today. Very strong correlation between the orange line and the price action. Again, price action here for NDX. Let's take a look at Mag 7 signal. And this is showing that traders are buying calls and selling puts. If we zoom in now, it looks like the put sellers have taken the foot off the gas, and they have briefly stopped buying calls. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to NQ. So still finding resistance at the 459 level. All right, Floyd's Garage. I think I'm sure, pretty sure, we can take a look at First Solar. All right, so traders are buying calls and selling puts in First Solar. Pretty nice move higher. Up from, it looks like it opened around 252, 253, traded up to right around 278. Very nice move in First Solar. Definitely confirmed by Hero there. And a break above the 260 call wall. So definitely confirming along in First Solar there. Thanks for pointing that out, Floyd's Garage. Nice move higher again in First Solar. All right, so it looks like in NASDAQ, options traders may be slowing down just a little bit. Let's zoom in on this. All right, so there are some large traders selling with iceberg orders. That's shown by the on-chart indicator as well as the falling light blue line. Zoom in a little bit more. So this range that started to set up between 458 and 459 started 11 a.m. Still continuing. NASDAQ right in the middle of that range. 3.5 hours later. Note point of control. That's shown by the dark purple line right in the middle of that range. That's also the most volume shown on the session volume profile. And if I were looking for a short in NQ, I would certainly look for a significant break below this 458 level that has acted as support. So I would look for a breakdown out of this range before thinking about a short. All right, let's check the SP 500. Also in a very narrow range. In this case, between 529 and 530. SPY 529, 530. Also the SPX 5300 level. Note also point of control shown by the dark purple line right in the middle of that range. All right, just to briefly recap, I showed great long setups in the SP 500 and NASDAQ. Now I'm chopping at a narrow range. And then great long setups in AMD, Coin, Meta, and NVIDIA and Tesla, all confirmed with breaks above VWAP, rising cumulative volume delta, rising hero signal, and in the case of Coinbase, I showed how to use both the correlation tracker and the market pulse price change indicator to help confirm your entry and setup. All right, everyone, my time is up. I want to thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. Everybody have a great holiday weekend, and I will see you next Wednesday. Thanks again. Bye.